I'm Brittney Saunders and welcome to Big Business, the place where business is far from boring, and today I'm recording on Gadigal land. Now, I somehow managed to build an empire from the garage underneath my house, and I'm here to share it all with you, from the wins, the mistakes, the challenging times and the funny moments in between. So whether you're in business already, if you're not in the game at all, maybe you're just looking for some inspo, or you simply want to hear the tea when it comes to running a business, this is the podcast for you. Coming up in today's episode, I'm super excited for this one because I'm joined by the beautiful Katelin and Elle, who are the founders of Fayshell, which I want to say is the coolest and most modern take on a skin clinic. Maybe you've seen them on Insta or TikTok. They have created a business which is subscription-based skincare treatments, and you've just got to look them up on Insta and TikTok to see how stunning their salons are. I'm going to be chatting to them today about how this idea came to be, what it's like working with your best friend, are there any challenges there, as well as their plans for the future. Katelin and Elle, welcome to Big Business.
Thank you. We're excited.
Hi.
Glad to have you both here. Now, I first stumbled across Fayshell, which we're going to talk a little bit about on, I don't remember if it was Instagram or TikTok, but what caught my eye was the fit out of do you refer to them as clinics or salons?
Clinics.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very warm and fun, which I think is what caught my eye, because I think traditionally when we think of a beauty clinic, you think clinical or like white or cool, and then your clinics just have this warm, happy vibe. And I remember seeing that and thinking, wow, that looks really fucking cool. So that was my first ever time that I saw it. I think one of your TikToks actually just popped up on my FYP. But I thought, I don't want to tell your story. Obviously, I've done some research and I know everything that you do, but give us your elevator pitch. What is Fayshell? What are you doing?
This is Katelin's role.
Take it away, Katelin.
Well, thank you for having us and for that comment, because the fit out of our clinics, as you probably know, fitting out your own space was not cheap.
No.
But we definitely justify it as a bit of a marketing budget. So I'm glad that it got us in this position today.
And what a world we live in, where we are building stores and thinking, yeah, this is expensive, but it's going to be able to create great content and real people in that type of way.
Yeah.
And I can see that has definitely worked for you and Fayshell. I don't want to say it wrong. Fayshell.
Fayshell.
Yeah,
Fayshell.
A big part of it was actually we wanted, whenever people came in and posted a photo, they wouldn't need to tag us. People would just know where they are.
That's
Yeah.
Fayshell.
Yeah.
So Fayshell is Australia's first membership-based skin clinic. The reason behind we created this space was we originally had actually our own podcast, so we feel very comfortable in this situation right now. But for about 4 years prior, we were educating millennials on cosmetic enhancements, skincare and beauty. And that took us down this weird path, which I've now realised is a bit of research and development that we were doing. But essentially we were interviewing the top beauty experts all across Australia and eventually globally. And we also built this really loyal following of millennials that trusted us for their beauty and skincare advice. So during this time, after talking with over 100 beauty experts, we really started to see that there was a common theme whenever we were talking about preventative aging or like aging gracefully. And that was to start with your skin and really look after like skin health. At the same time, we had built this really loyal following, and they were kind of giving us feedback on what they thought was missing in the beauty industry. And what we started to notice was skin treatments and looking after your skin wasn't that accessible. Britt, have you had many facials before?
I've had a few. I have been reading, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more throughout the episode, how you are wanting with Fayshell to make going and getting a facial and stuff like that more accessible and part of our regular kind of beauty regime, the same way we go and get our nails done, we go and get our hair done, like go get the toes done.
You could give our pitch.
I've been doing my research on the weekend. But I totally agree that when it does come to going and getting a facial or laser or whatever those things are that everyone gets done, it is seen as more of something that you do like for a treat, like every now and then.
A luxury.
Yeah, and I always say to myself, I'd love to just go and get like a regular facial or whatever, but then it is one of those things like, and then you feel a bit guilty even like going and getting something like that done.
Like it's expensive too,
Yeah.
like what was out there.
Yes.
And I think that's what we started to notice was it was really expensive. It could be this really lengthy exercise. You know, a facial could be an hour or 2 hours at some of the places we were trying. And I think the biggest thing we noticed was it was so confusing. I mean, you go into a skin clinic and there is 40 different treatments on the menu. I don't have a degree in skin. Like the consumers don't. Like how are you supposed to know what is going to be the best result for you? So for us, we saw this massive opportunity that we wanted to turn facials from a luxury into more of like a necessity and it be something that people do regularly for their skin's health.
Yep.
So yeah, facial is affordable. Our treatments are 30 minutes, so it's time efficient. And it's completely customized to our client's skin. So they don't need to worry about what treatment they're having.
Because that's the other thing with skin clinics. Often you'll go in and you'll buy a pack of like 6 salicylic pills and then you're locked in for salicylic pills for like the next 6 treatments.
Yeah, right.
But your skin actually improves, and as you go on your skin journey, what your skin needs changes, but you're stuck getting whatever you bought a 10-pack of because that's, you know, what you did at the beginning. So that's why it was really important to us to put the decision making back in the hands of the experts and allow them to do what is best for the skin without the fear of hidden costs for the client. Because that was the other thing. You'd often go into a clinic and then you'd walk out having spent like $600 and all these new products and a treatment, and you don't really know whether it was the best thing for your skin or whether it was the best sale that this therapist could get.
Yeah, and that's always really awkward too, like the upsell at the end of the facial. And it's like, do you want to buy all these products that you have no idea what they are, and then you feel a bit awkward kind of thing?
And at the time for the business, like, yeah, it's great. They've had this major sale.
Yes.
But they've lost all trust with the client. And the actual lifetime value of that client will probably be considerably less because they've had a bad experience. They're not going to want to come back to you because they just don't trust that you're not just trying to sell them something.
Yeah.
So for us, like, we really like to invest in that relationship with our customers and make sure that they know that they're getting exactly what their skin needs.
Yeah, I would say just from, I guess, an outsider's perspective, what I think what you've done and what you're doing is a really like modern take when it comes to beauty treatments, you know, because like I said, when I think of going and getting a facial, like it's clinical, it's a bit sterile, and I just think it's really cool what you've jumped onto here. It's like a more millennial take, and I love it. I love that like us as millennials are kind of stepping in and taking over industries and businesses and doing them differently, because I think it's just changing up every single industry. So what were both of your backgrounds prior to this? Did either of you come from a beauty background specifically?
So me, no. We actually met at uni. So we met living on campus at Sydney Uni together. I did commerce arts and she did economics.
Nice.
And then,
very different.
Yeah. And then I was in the tech startup space. So I worked for many years at Zip during uni, and then I went to work for another like seed stage tech startup called Offload, which was like an Uber for trucks. So that's what I was doing, trucking by day, beauty by night, because we were doing our beauty podcasts after work and around work. And then, I'd finished university, didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I'd grown up with both my parents having and running their own businesses. So I still remember when we just finished uni, I was like to Ella, let's go see this personal development person speak. And we used to wake up every single morning. I still don't know why we did this at 5 a.m. and meet at a cafe. We sipped the Kool-Aid.
Just to like chat business ideas. It was like maybe part of the 5 a.m. club or something, but we were so set on having our own thing. And that eventually did go, the first thing we had together was the podcast. Yeah. But the reason we kind of got into the beauty space was I was working with my dad's business, which he was in a distribution agency. So he sold all the products that clinics use in these beauty treatments.
Right.
So that kind of gave me a bit of exposure to working like in beauty. And then when we started the podcast, we had a really good network to reach out to and be like, hey, do you want to come on our podcast and talk about beauty and all other amazing things?
Yeah, so this is kind of like stemmed from going to uni together to then having these morning catch-ups, starting a beauty podcast together as something essentially like fun, I'm guessing like a little passion project.
Well,
Totally.
we wanted a business together and we saw the opportunity because it was really, we started talking about cosmetic enhancements because that was Katelin's dad's business, like selling fillers and Botox and stuff to the clinics, and nobody was talking about it. Like we weren't necessarily into it, but we saw the niche. We had access to some of the best experts in Australia, and so we kind of went for it. And we were like, we don't know anything about cosmetic enhancements, we never had them, but let's talk to the best doctors in Australia about them.
And it was around that time that it was really rising on social media as well.
Yeah.
And there was just so much misinformation out there. And we wanted to essentially educate on the right stuff because you could see all these like botch jobs or people going and saying, I'm getting Botox in my lips. And you were like, that's not a thing.
Oh, no.
So it was more like an educational stance.
And do you do both, like Botox and everything, as well as going and getting facials done at your clinics?
No.
Just facials.
Yeah.
We wanted to niche and really focus on the skin and just doing one thing really, really well.
And I think one thing Ella didn't mention as well is since opening Fayshell, has gone and studied and done the...
I'm a dermal therapist now.
Hey.
So she's our senior like lead therapist and kind of takes on that kind of responsibility in the business too.
Yeah, nice.
So it wasn't exactly what we pictured where we'd end up, but I think life's funny like that. Yeah. One thing leads to another.
Being friends and going into business, did either of you have any reservations before jumping in and doing this together? Because I guess it's always interesting from my standpoint with Fate. I am the 100% owner of Fate and I work with my partner, but he's actually not officially on any paperwork or anything, but he does run it with me. And people often say to me, you know, how do you work with your partner? Like I would go crazy. I would rip his head off kind of thing. And then I look at other businesses and how they're kind of structured and I think, God, I don't think I could ever work with a friend because, you know, it's just different for everyone. How did both of you feel going into business together and was there any thought surrounding that and your friendship or did you kind of just go in full steam ahead without a thought or did you have any conversations like, is this going to affect our friendship in any way? How did that play out?
Well, we were actually roommates as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so we were roommates, best friends and business partners.
It was fucking crazy.
You were just doing it all.
Yeah. We were like a little hustle den. During COVID, when we got locked down together in the place, this tiny apartment.
Was it like a off-the-cuff situation or did you both at any point kind of sit down and say, look, if we're going to do this together, these things might happen? Because I guess being me now and knowing how business works, you can be really naive at the beginning, like going into something and it's all really exciting. So where were your headspaces at that time?
I think a lot of people, that was our biggest warning. You know, you'd say...
A lot of people
say
that,
to your parents' friends, oh, Ella and I are starting a business together. And they were like, you guys won't... The classic pessimist, you won't be friends for long.
Yeah.
But we just had this...
We were naive.
But we were naive, but we had this belief, you know, it will, no matter what, like it'll always work out.
Yeah.
And that's something that it obviously has still worked out.
Yep.
But I think working together and it's navigating a path and making sure that you find how each other work best together.
Yeah. I think we definitely just went headfirst into things. We didn't really I don't know, it's your best friend. We live together and it's all gone really well.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely like a learning period of like how do you have those difficult conversations and not bring emotion into it? Because obviously like if you work somewhere, you know what I mean? If you work with someone in a work experience and you have a disagreement, like
it's so different if you've got that personal friendship.
But if you're best friends and roommates, then very quickly if you're disagreeing on something business-wise, then it could get emotional.
Yeah.
But I think we've like really grown into it and we just understand each other.
Yeah.
Like if either of us are feeling a little bit off, we talk about it and the other one's really supportive and it works really, really well.
I think that's really important. Have you had any times during your business partnership where your friendship has felt tested?
There's maybe been like one or two like mini blow-ups. Oh, I'm leaving the apartment. I'll see you in a few days.
Yeah.
But it's never anything that's ever felt like that was it. Like I think it's like your sister. You know, you understand each other. And what I think Ella and I have learned to be really good at is going away and like separately reflecting and thinking about how the other person would feel in that situation. Because in the heat of the moment, you're not rational. Like you can scream and all of a sudden stop stealing my clothes as well. And like things get brought into it. And like
10 minutes later, we're like, you were such a brat. And we laugh at each other. So I think, it's like a sibling relationship. Yeah. Like we'll bicker, but we get over it fast, and we often laugh it off and be like, lol, that was so funny.
And I think we always talk about how grateful we are to have each other in this journey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because we honestly couldn't do it without each other. I think on one side, we have really complementary skill sets.
Yep.
So I like to say I'm like more the front of the business, so I run all our marketing and sales, whereas Ella's a little freak in the sheets, and she's basically
the Excel sheets.
She makes sure that the business can actually stay alive. So she runs finance,
strategy, growth,
strategy.
finance.
I come to her with a crazy idea, and she tells me whether or not I'm allowed to do it.
I love that.
But in the really challenging times, whenever there's like a problem or something that comes up, it's kind of like, well, at least she's in this with me.
Yeah. I think you touched on a good point, though. I think it works because we have different skill sets. And so I have ownership over 3 or 4 things, and Katelin has ownership of 3 or 4 things. We come together, we discuss it, but at the end of the day, if it's in my remit, then I make the final call, and vice versa. So we have like very defined roles and what we make the final call on.
Yeah,
and
I think that's really important.
That's really important.
Yeah, rather than trying to
it's blurred.
Yeah, overshadow one another, and
yeah,
it would create a whole lot more work. I think like I admire 2 friends being able to work together, because I know business isn't easy, and at times it can feel like the roof is on fire. And I can imagine that it would be so awesome to be able to share this business journey with someone that is so like-minded, because I think you get the same sort of feeling when you meet other business owners. Like us today, for example, you meet someone and you start talking, and it's like you understand exactly what one another is going through, kind of thing. So to be able to experience that together, I think would make it a whole lot more enjoyable and even easier at times when shit is hitting the fan.
Yeah.
You're there doing it together,
when
kind of thing.
When shit hits the fan, the first thing I think is, thank God it's her problem too.
Exactly right.
But then when you have a massive win, like it's the funnest thing ever, being like, okay, let's go celebrate this together.
Let's go out for drinks.
But
Every
what's
single
it like
time.
on the one step further, like having your partner in the business?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is another thing that people say to me, like, how on earth could you work with your partner, kind of thing. But I think much like the both of you, it's just something that works for AJ and I think we're very lucky for that. But yeah, AJ, he was an electrician for like 15 years, and he was there when I started Fate. So he would like go to work all day and come home and then help me pack the orders, like, you know, in the garage underneath their house, kind of thing. So he was just there from the beginning, and it was this natural progression over years that he was like, he understood the whole thing because he'd been there since we launched it. And it just was like, then he came 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week. And then all of a sudden I'm like, fuck it, do you just want to come and work for us? So he quit like the electrical side. Yeah. And then, we've never looked back, and it just works for us. And I guess the good thing too with that is AJ and I aren't working side by side every day. Like we do completely different jobs. So I can imagine it would be different if we were sitting at a desk side by side all day and then living together. But it really does work for us. And I think, again, like he has really great skills, so do I, and they're both completely different, and that really complements the business. And maybe he's much like you, he's there to make sure the business doesn't fall apart and that we've got money coming in, kind of thing. He's more in the back end, kind of thing. And I'm like you, running the front end of the business and getting those sales to come in. So yeah, I guess it's kind of the same but different.
Yeah. I think it's just what works.
Yes.
Everyone's different, like you said.
Exactly right. What would be your advice for anyone out there maybe who isn't in business yet, and they're maybe wanting to get into business, when it comes to going into business with a business partner?
Well, I think as we've touched on, number one, make sure you have skill sets that are different.
Yep.
This would not work if we were both marketing girlies or both finance girlies. Like the difference in skill set is super important, not only just for the business and its success, but also to make sure that you've got your own remits.
Yeah.
I also think it's finding something that you have mutual passion about. And you touched on earlier, like when we had our podcast, for instance, like it was something that we were both really passionate about, but we could create that together, even at a low cost. Like it wasn't like we were all of a sudden investing all this money into setting up clinics, which are a lot more expensive than starting a podcast.
Yes.
But we were able to see, one, how we work together, and also bring something to life that we were like both passionate about, and it was really fun and we could be creative, and then that eventually kind of brought on the next big thing that was coming.
I think as well, having spoken to a couple of people where their business partnerships haven't worked out and it's come from a friendship scenario, is making sure you're on the same page in terms of work ethic, because if you're not, then we've seen multiple cases where one person's doing way more than the other, and then they start to resent each other, and there's equal ownership. Like, you do kind of need to know somebody really, really well before going into business with them, if you can, or at least know them in a professional sense.
Yes.
How they are to work with and how they run their staff.
Yeah, because I think it is very easy in those early exciting days when you have this idea like, yes, let's open this clinic. It's going to be so fun. We're going to make it colourful and bright and amazing. It's really easy to get caught up in that fun idea without looking at like the more practical side of business and how is this going to look day to day.
And on the hard months where things aren't going how they're planned, is this person going to be looking for another job, or are they going to be getting in the trenches with you and really trying to make it work?
Couldn't agree more. Moving on to your business. So we mentioned earlier, Fayshell is a subscription-based clinic. So your clients can come in, and you've obviously got different kinds of memberships available. Mm-hmm. Was that always your idea from the get-go, that this is going to be subscription-based only?
Yeah, so I guess to kind of summarize how the subscription works is like we've set it up that Fayshell is like a skin gym. So the whole concept is you can come in for a one-off appointment. You don't need to be a monthly member, but we also have a monthly membership program which gives our clients the best value if they really want to get on a skin journey.
Yep.
So you visit on a monthly basis and you see your PT, but in this case it's a personal therapist.
Cute.
And your PT is the one who designs your program for the results that you want to get, and they also keep you accountable for your journey. In between your PT sessions as a member, you have access to the Skin Gym, which is our LED lounge. Have you tried LED before?
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah. So, yeah, LED essentially is like a light therapy treatment that you do on a regular basis. So we recommend our clients come in twice a week to get a really good result, so in between their monthly appointments. And then you have a skin diet. So just like when we're training at the gym, you're recommended to eat the right foods. The same applies in skin. So we really recommend that you're not eating.
We're also dietitians.
Yeah.
Surprise!
No, we recommend that you put the right ingredients on your face to enhance and unlock the best results.
Yeah.
So with the monthly membership, it was always something that we did want to offer. We did also have a lot of inspiration from clinics that were overseas that were pioneering this sort of model. When we were creating ideas for the business, we actually flew to LA, which is very forward in the wellness and beauty space, and they have membership models for everything over there.
It's very clever. Like, I think a subscription-based business is so bloody clever. Like, it's almost like you're setting yourself up with this kind of guarantee rather than relying on just one-offs all the time.
But it works so well for skin as well, because it's not a one-fix-all. Like,
exactly.
You do need that consistency to have good skin.
Yeah.
So not only is it a great business model in terms of like financially, but it's great. Like, our customers get great results that are really like long-term.
Yeah, I love that. Have you experienced any, I guess, negatives when it comes to subscriptions? Maybe have customers ever signed up to something and then said, actually, I don't want to be part of this anymore? Because that's another place that my mind goes to, is people feeling like they're locked into something and then they change their mind. Because we even experience that ourselves, where customers will place a big order online and then email and go, I changed my mind, I don't want that anymore, kind of thing. And that's a one-off purchase. So I wonder, do you experience this at all with subscriptions?
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Look, for every 100 subscriptions, say there'd be a couple.
Yep.
Who are like, we didn't know it was a 3-month lock-in, because we do have a 3-month lock-in and then it rolls month to month.
Okay.
And that's just so people see the cumulative benefits of coming regularly.
Yep.
But we don't really, like, we try not to lock people in, right? We want people to be a part of our community and for it to be fun. And, if they're not loving it, then
let him go.
Yeah, let him
go.
go. The day, like, we're doing this so people are happy. So if somebody's going to come and not feel like they're getting what they signed up for, like, it's definitely a discussion that we have case by case.
Yeah, I think that's important as well because it does create like a really negative relationship if you have locked yourself into something and then for whatever reason you want to back out of it. And I understand terms and conditions and whatever, but when businesses are really focused on, nah, we're locking you in, sorry, you signed that dotted line.
I think we've all been to a gym before and you've been like, I'm signing up for 12 months for this price. And then you try to pull out and they're like, no.
I know, they make it so
I've had
hard.
to fake injuries to get out of gym membership.
It's insane, isn't it?
But the thing is, if they had just said, yes, look, we understand, I wouldn't have such a negative emotion
about
towards them. I don't want to
Yeah.
ever go back there again. Or you probably can't because you've told them you've got an injury.
No, I think it's good. Like as great as a subscription base is, I think it is important as well to still like be human.
Yeah,
like I'm
absolutely.
currently in a subscription for like this app thing for Fate, and like I didn't know he signed it. Like one of my staff signed it for 12 months, and then I'm like, surely we can just get out of this anyway. So I contacted these people. It's like an extension of our website. I'm like, look, we don't need this anymore, and they're like, no. Or like you can pay out the rest of your contract kind of thing. And I'm just like, why are you being like this?
It doesn't work like that anymore. People just cancel their cards.
Yeah,
Like,
I know. It's
who's
like an
gonna wave
American
a contract in your face.
It's
like,
an American
what?
company too, so I'm like, maybe I could just like ban them from taking my money. But then I'm like, imagine if I get into a global court case or something. So I'm like, I better not. I'm just going to fucking write it out. But it's one of those things. So obviously you opened your first clinic in 2022, which was the Bondi Junction one. And then you've opened a second one. When did the second one open?
December of last year.
So a year later. Yeah, so we opened the second one in Neutral Bay in 2023. We were keen. We were hustling for the second one.
Yeah.
Like as soon as we opened the first, I don't know.
Yeah, that was really quick that you went from 1 to 2. What was the reason? Was that always part of the plan or?
Yeah, so the plan long term is to keep rolling them out, but we really needed, because both of us were in the business, we really needed like the second clinic and like more revenue to kind of support like the growth
expansion
of the business.
plans.
Yeah.
So we opened the second one a year later. So now we're kind of running with 2. We have actually also just opened more rooms in Bondi because we kind of started to reach capacity at Bondi.
Yep.
And have you heard of Salon Lane before?
No.
So Salon Lane is it's like a workspace, but for beauty services.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, the beauty services Whatso sort of vibe.
Yep.
And they randomly opened directly opposite Fayshell and Bondi Junction.
Oh.
So we thought, hey, this is a great way to kind of open more rooms without building another 80 square meter clinic anytime soon. So now we've got about at capacity like 5 rooms there.
Yeah, nice. How many? What's the end goal? How many do you want there to be? Do you
How
have a
long's
number?
piece of string?
Yeah. Do you have a number, or is it expanding out of New South Wales?
yeah.
Or
Yeah. So I mean, our vision is to have 100.
wow.
I don't know where we got 100. Like we just 100
Yeah.
feels good to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, like 50 to 100.
Where's the
want
next
lots.
one?
Well, we're actually heading to Parramatta after this.
Oh.
And we wanted to chat with you about your new Fate store.
Actually, I just saw that you did with Nimble Activewear some facials in one of their stores. Was
Yeah.
it Nimble?
We did.
It
Yeah.
was Nimble.
Yeah, so we've done we usually do like activations with big brands or like any sort of brands and do express facials somehow with them. Recently we did it with Nimble at the City to Surf. So after everyone was all sweaty after running the race, they came and got a free facial with us in their store in Bondi, which was really fun.
Yeah, loves. Whereabouts in Parramatta are you looking?
Well, we don't want to be in the Westfield, and we saw you didn't go in Westfield either, so we were like, we have to talk about it.
Because your 2 that you have at the moment, they're not in a shopping centre,
No,
are they?
just outside the
boutique.
Westfield.
Keep it that
Place
way.
to
Keep
be.
it that way.
Yeah.
We
Take
have
it from
friends who are
me.
in the Westfield and
We get all the traffic without the price tag.
Yeah, I have to
Perfect.
say, the 2 Westfield stores that we do have, like they do really well and the centres are actually really nice. The only reason why I'm like now veering in the other direction back to boutiques is because like the rent is like a third of the price.
Yeah.
And you have the flexibility, whereas like with Westfields, we have to stay open till 9 o'clock
During
on a
these
Thursday
hours.
night, you know? And it's like, who's shopping for fucking clothes at 8:30 at night?
Yeah.
Unless it's like a last minute, quick, I need something.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
it's just
we're
insane.
actually open every night till 9 in Bondi.
Wow.
It's insane. Late night facials are a thing.
True, I guess that's the thing too, because people are working during the day, so they want to come and like relax.
Yeah.
So I can understand that.
But also for us, our space is like where people come to relax and for a bit of me time. Like if I feel like a centre would ruin that vibe.
Yeah, then you walk out and you're in the centre, and then your face is all like you look like you just woken up kind of thing.
Yeah. So whereabouts is your Parramatta store?
Just outside the
ideal.
Westfield.
I saw the spot and I was like, mwah,
yeah, it's literally just outside. Like you walk out the car park and like around the corner and like there it is.
Yeah. And that's the best thing because you need the parking.
Yeah. So then I can be like, you can park inside. And I'm pretty sure it's 3 hours for free or 4 if you've got the Westfield app.
Yeah.
So
don't worry, that's on our website.
Westfield Parramatta is going to absolutely hate like on our opening day and there's just so many more cars in their shopping centre, but they're all walking outside down the street, them watching on the security cameras, everyone park in but walk out. So yeah, you're thinking Western Sydney for your next one?
We think so.
Yeah. It's unconfirmed. There's, a few areas that we are looking at.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of people that travel from that way.
Yeah,
to
well,
come
I
to
feel
the
like
Bondi
Western
store.
Sydney, especially over the last few years, has become like a new CBD of its own. And like with how expensive everything is becoming, in the city, everyone's kind of like shifting out.
Mm-hmm.
How are you picking your spots?
Very much just
customer postcodes or?
Yeah, and I think I've just kind of tried to space us out in locations that are easy enough for everyone to get to if they're from somewhere around there kind of thing. Like we started with Newcastle because that's where we're from. Then we came to Sydney and we're in Miranda. And then we went to Brisbane, Chermside. It's like the biggest shopping centre up there. And then we went to Melbourne and did a boutique there. It's in a suburb called Hawthorn.
Yeah.
And I kind of like looked at the map and found somewhere that was somewhat central. Like it's not in the CBD, but it's not super south, but it's not super west kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then us doing Parramatta now just kind of makes sense because Parramatta is an hour from Miranda.
Yeah.
And we do get a lot of customers travelling to Miranda from kind of Western Sydney, and people just ask as well, like we find our customers just say, open here, open there. And we notice that like Western Sydney was a theme. And it makes it really easy as well, I guess, doing a store that is closer to us. So it's 2 hours for us to get to Parramatta, whereas one thing that you'll find does add this whole other level of difficulty is when you start opening stores that are nowhere near you.
I was going to say, what's it like running interstate stores?
You've got to factor in the travel
time?
travel, and then you've got your staff traveling, and then you've got meal allowances, paying for all the Ubers, accommodation, all that kind of stuff.
But it's also like all your resources are here. So for instance, like we've used the same builder, so it would be like finding a whole new like builder and
I can put you in touch with someone if you like. We use the same builder for all of our builds because they do stores all around Australia. But yeah, going interstate definitely does add a whole other element to your business. You've also then got your freight and everything. If you're going to be sending product there, how are you going to send it there? Then you've got to have contracts we use Star Track, which is Australia Post. There's just a lot of other little things that come with, having a store that's far away. And I remember when I first started delving into opening stores further away from us, I would think, what if it's a Saturday morning and everyone working that day calls in sick? Like it's just these little things and it's like I can't be there yet. Like I'm going to have to book a flight.
2 hours.
Yeah, like I'm going to have to book a flight. And because we're from Newcastle as well, it's a tiny, we've got a tiny airport, but then we don't have flights every hour kind of thing. So it's just something that you really have to set yourself up for and have that staff member that is going to be owning that. So we have a national retail manager and that's kind of her realm is to always be kind of traveling around, and then you've got to keep that flow going. Once you set up a store or clinic that's far away from you, you don't just set it up and forget about it because then they can very well feel disconnected from the company.
Yeah.
So then it's like getting that routine trips down there and, staff training and team bonding sessions and dinners and all the things that you need to do because it can feel really disconnected. So it's like up to us to kind of keep that connection there.
We'll definitely be picking your brain more on this when we start moving interstate.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a call or come back and we can do another episode where you can ask me questions. That would be fun, I reckon.
That would be fun.
It's been so great chatting with you both, and I'm going to have to come in for a facial one day.
Please.
But can I book like an extra 20 minutes for like extra massage?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Can you do that? Is that a
We
thing?
can
Like,
organise that.
We'll give you a little double
half
up.
an hour plus, 15 minutes extra massage.
We know a guy.
Oh, yeah.
We always end Big Business with a tip of the week. Do either of you or both of you have a tip? It can be anything, life, business, personal.
I think mine is just remember to enjoy the process. So any new people going into business, there's going to be lots of ups and downs, and there's going to be lots of little wins, and you're always looking for the next thing to happen, and then like when we do this, we'll be happy, or this will be happy. Just remember to celebrate all the small victories.
I agree.
So true. Mine would definitely be that every single failure or challenge that you have along the way, like be grateful for that, because they have always been our biggest lessons on what to do differently next time. So
You're speaking my language,
profound.
honestly.
Words of wisdom.
Well, it's been so great having you both. And where can everyone find you? And everyone needs to come and book in with you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where can they find you?
I'll let the social lady take that.
So you can find Fayshell on Instagram and TikTok. It's at Fayshell.
Fayshell.
Yes.
Correct.
.au. And then, Ella and I, we're both on like personal kind of Instagram and TikTok. If anyone has any questions, like we love kind of talking about our journey and helping anyone out, because, we are grateful for everyone that helped us get started on our journey. So mine is at Katelin, KatelinGregg.
And mine is ella.james2 on Instagram.
Ella James 2. Was that because Ella James was taken?
Yeah. I'm the second. Ella James the second. I'm from a long line, yeah.
This has been so great. Thank you both so much. And I love what you're doing, and I can't wait to see you roll out the Parramatta Clinic and the 97 more after that.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.